What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, it looks like it's finally happened after tons of speculation earlier this year after Nintendo and the Pokemon Company said that they were aware of Palworld and Pocket Pair. It looks like they're finally going after them in court, and we have a response from Palworld and Pocket Pair, and a lot of questions actually coming up as to how exactly Nintendo is approaching this whole thing. We'll go over all of that, though, here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Sony and the PlayStation 30th anniversary because they just dropped a whole bunch of really cool-looking hardware on us, which does actually include the PlayStation 5 Pro, and then Concord. It's been a big question around if it would return. Well, it looks like things are starting to move around a bit inside the studio, and it's not looking great for the dozen or so fans of the game. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps it a ton. And if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button down below this video. And we're gonna start today with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. It is out October 11th, so we're just a few weeks away now, and I'm very excited for this game. As they have gone along, they've dropped different trailers seemingly every month, and it's kind of sped up a bit more as we've gotten closer to its release. And now we have the full roster just being dropped in front of us here in the most recent stream from Bandai, which you can see this here. This is part of their video. 182 characters. I believe they bumped that up a couple of slots, actually, as they were showcasing this. They even went through all the different movies. So, like, there is so much Dragon Ball lore and representation here in this game. It is actually kind of mind-blowing. I saw some people online saying it almost puts them off because there's so many characters. It's intimidating. But I mean, I would say, look, there are many forms of a character here, right? So it's not like one character and they go through every single transformation. That's all bundled into one. No, they spread them out here. So still, there is a lot of stuff happening here. The game looks like packed with content, and I'm very excited to jump into this game when it comes out October 11th. Definitely giving me shades of the old days with Budokai Tenkaichi, sitting down with the PS2 and a couple of friends. Also, we do have Dragon Age the Veilguard out at the end of October, actually coming out on Halloween, which interesting release date there. But we had previews go live yesterday from a number of different outlets and people, actually content creators on YouTube, and opinions were somewhat varied, but for the most part, everyone was really happy with what they played. Now, from what I could gather, it appeared that EA and BioWare had some of these people play about 6 hours or so, all taking place in the first act. And, like, for example, GameSpot, I thought, did a pretty good breakdown of their experience with it, as well as Mr. Matty Plays, so check them out. I'll have them linked down below in the sources. But as I was watching this, I did notice that the thing that kept coming up is people saw this as BioWare's actual return to form. Like, this felt like a high quality, good BioWare game, which it sounds weird, but that is something we haven't had in a little while now. Like, the conversations between the different characters, the decisions you were making felt meaningful. The combat, while leaning more into the action side of things, actually worked well. Like, the combo strung together well. You had the different skills, things happening on screen as you were going. So, at least at this time, again, first act, 5 or 6 hours, seems like it's off to a strong start right now, and BioWare does need a win, so I'm gonna be curious to see what happens here when it comes out and how critics reflect on it after playing all the way through what seems to be a very large campaign. If that's 5 or 6 hours all in the first act, and I believe there's 3 acts or so, that's gonna be a pretty long experience, so we'll see what happens. Oh, and it appears that Pyoro has returned. Kind of. This is weird. I'm not really sure what's going on here, and people are trying to decipher these tweets, as they tend to do with Pyoro when they were still around. Remember, they deactivated their account after getting caught, and now I guess they're back because, like, there's 2 tweets they put out right here. One is just RAH, or Ra, and the other one is PIH, or Pih. So people are trying to figure out that those are abbreviations, stand for something. Some are linking it, of course, to the Switch 2 reveal. I don't know, it's hard to say. I mean, it could have just been hacked even, and then they got reinstated, and they just decided to put out a couple letters to see how much the internet would run with it, which they have quite a bit since at this time. Both tweets combined, almost 1 million views or impressions on them, and like 8,700 likes, 6,100 likes. So who really knows? Apparently this account can just put out a couple of letters, and that's enough to get the internet buzzing about the Switch 2. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo versus Pocket Pair. Now, this really started up when Nintendo and the Pokemon Company made everyone aware that they were at least looking in to Pocket Pair with their newly released title that went absolutely viral online. We saw the sales numbers climbing every other day when they would update us on them, and we saw the concurrent player count absolutely explode on Steam for Palworld. And well, we looked at it and the big tagline was, it's Pokemon, but with guns. And yeah, it was even some of the marketing material and some of the screenshots, the little pals with like an AK-47. But after the game came out and people played it, they said, okay, yeah, sure, it has some elements from Pokemon, but for the most part, it takes elements from all kinds of different survival games and the typical online experiences where you'll play with friends and stuff. So it wasn't necessarily one-to-one with Pokemon, but there was a lot of discussion around the pals and the amount of inspiration, we'll say, that Pocket Pair took from Nintendo, as some of the pals do line up quite well in terms of similarities with different Pokemon, especially when put them side by side. People were dropping models on top of each other to figure it out, so it was a whole thing there. But after Nintendo had at least said, look, we're aware, we're looking into it, it actually took about 8 months, that was back in January, to now where Nintendo dropped this on their website. They say Nintendo Co., that's the representative for Akawa Nintendo Hereafter, together with the Pokemon Company, filed a patent infringement lawsuit in the Tokyo District Court against Pocket Pair Inc. That's on September 18th. The lawsuit seeks an injunction against infringement and compensation for damages on the grounds that Palworld, a game developed and released by the defendant, infringes multiple patent rights. Nintendo will continue to take necessary actions against any infringement of its intellectual property rights, including the Nintendo brand itself, to protect the intellectual properties it has worked hard to establish over the years. Now, we did have Pocket Pair respond over on their website with a statement saying, yesterday a lawsuit was filed against our company for patent infringement. We have received notice of this lawsuit and will begin the appropriate legal proceedings and investigations into the claims of patent infringement. At this moment, we are unaware of the specific patents we are accused of infringing upon, and we have not been notified of such details. Pocket Pair is a small indie game company based in Tokyo. Our goal as a company has always been to create fun games. We'll continue to pursue this goal because we know that our games bring joy to millions of gamers around the world. Palworld was a surprise success this year, both for gamers and for us. We were blown away by the amazing response to the game and have been working hard to make it even better for our fans. We will continue improving Palworld and strive to create a game that our fans can be proud of. It is truly unfortunate that we will be forced to allocate significant time to matters unrelated to game development due to this lawsuit. However, we will do our utmost for our fans and to ensure that indie game developers are not hindered or discouraged from pursuing their creative ideas. We apologize to our fans and supporters for any worry or discomfort that this news has caused. As always, thank you for your continued support of Palworld and Pocket Pair. So I think it's very important to really hone in on what Nintendo is saying that they are going after Palworld or Pocket Pair for, because there seems to be some confusion online. A lot of that is, okay, there's a lawsuit being filed from Nintendo against Pocket Pair. Obviously, that's because of the character likenesses or the little pals and how they're ripping off the Pokemon, the looks and stuff. And that's actually not the case here. In fact, it appears Nintendo is going after patent infringement, which most likely has to do with gameplay mechanics. I say most likely because we don't have all of the details. Even apparently Pocket Pair does not have the details as to what patents Nintendo is exactly pointing towards, and we'll find out more about that as the court proceedings and stuff go along. There should be discovery and other things getting out there, and this is the part that I'm very, very curious about with what Nintendo is pointing towards, because we've talked about gameplay mechanics being patented in the past and how that can become an issue in gaming because it can stifle creativity. So one example that people hate to hear about is the Nemesis system and how that is patented by WB, and well, because of that, no one really does anything with a Nemesis system-like system, right? Like, they have not created their own because WB managed to get the wording just right, and it took them a while, but once they did, that's it. It's kind of locked down to WB, and we have to wait for them, apparently, I believe, to make Wonder Woman, which will be the next time they use the Nemesis system. But because more studios can't use it, you don't really see it evolve over time throughout a generation with multiple game releases to get the system even better. In this case, Nintendo could be pointing to a couple of things, and Well, one is sort of being kicked around as the possibility, which we can see Steven Totillo mention this over on his account. Says, if I'm reading this correctly, here is a Nintendo patent from 2021 for a video game character throwing an item to catch a monster while out in the field. So I assume this is to go along of Pokemon Legends Arceus, because before that, there was a catching mechanic with Pokemon, but you would be in a battle to do that. It wasn't out in the field in real time. While you're running around, you see a Pokemon, I'm going to throw a Pokeball at them and try to catch them. So that's kind of what happens here with Palworld, right? You're out in the field, you throw a device and it catches the PAL and stuff, and it does, in that sense, yes, mimic what we have right now in Legends Arceus. However, that wasn't something that was filed by Nintendo until 2021, and even later, actually, in the US, and them trying to get that approved. So it does, you kind of see what I'm getting at here, because Palworld was unveiled back in 2021, so they had already had this stuff underway, and then Nintendo was able to patent something like that, a gameplay mechanic, and then turn around and use it, if they want, by the way, against Palworld. So that's the other thing here is, would Nintendo have bothered to do all of this if Palworld wasn't selling so well and now moving into the realm of apparently they do like an anime, there's plans for merchandise, like you kind of see what I mean, they're expanding out. And I mean, Palworld right now, based on the sales trajectory, them also attempting now to move over to the PS5, and well, it might have been the Switch too at some point, who knows now, but they probably would have got to a position where, yeah, Palworld would have outsold any Pokemon game. With one version, by the way, not multiple versions. I think Red and Blue is still the best-selling one, and that's like 33 million or something like that. It wouldn't shock me if Palworld would have gotten to that point at some day. And you can see Nintendo, their wheels turning. How do we stop this? Well, we get the courts involved. At least that's kind of where we are now, and we have to wait and see more information before we can determine how much of a stretch this may be for Nintendo. But I will say this, Nintendo clearly has taken their time, along with the Pokemon Company, to form this case, about 8 months or so. And typically Nintendo does go to court. They don't do it to lose. Most likely they do have something here they feel is very, very strong and will at least get them some sort of win in court. So I guess we'll see, because it doesn't seem like Pocket Pair is backing down, so this will certainly be something we'll want to follow here in the coming months. Next up, let's talk about Sony and their celebration for the 30th anniversary of PlayStation that will officially be taking place December of this year, so just a few months away. And in order to celebrate, it appears Sony has decided to introduce a number of different console variants for even the PlayStation 5 Pro that would be more mimicking the original PlayStation's look, color scheme. So we can head over to PlayStation blog. They also have an entire video showcasing this stuff. But we have a PlayStation 5 Pro console. This is the 30th anniversary limited edition bundle. So we can see the PlayStation 5 Pro here immediately with that trademark sort of gray look to it. And it does come with a couple of different things here. So even the middle plastic that typically would just be black, and then we have the white shells, that's also been changed to more of a lighter gray look. It does have the system, the PlayStation 5 Pro, the shell actually that would be used to actually install the disk drive, which is good, because if you don't have that for a limited edition system like this and you have to use the white shell, that would look very strange. They also have 4 PlayStation shapes cable ties. There's an original controller, also again the DualSense, which we'll get into here, that's paired with it. The PlayStation sticker, limited edition PlayStation poster. They have one of 30 possible designs. A PlayStation paperclip, a DualSense Edge wireless controller, a DualSense charging station, and it does come with a vertical stand, which is just incredible, because Sony always wants to tell us the thing doesn't come with a vertical stand. But looking at this bundle, I have to assume it's going to probably be like $1,000 would be my assumption here. I mean, it does come with a bunch of stuff, but the high ticket items, obviously like PS5 Pro, but then also the DualSense Edge, which is typically $200. And then we have a special edition one here. You kind of add it all up in your mind. Okay, probably about $1,000 for this. Again, the special edition side, especially since they're only going to be making, just over 12,000 or so of these. Yeah, they'll be very limited. Okay, but then we also have the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition that has the same sort of color scheme and markings that we had there with the PlayStation 5 Pro. This, of course, just being the base PS5, the most recent one, the quote-unquote slim variant. That also does come with the PlayStation sticker, the limited edition poster, the PlayStation paperclip, and the 4 PlayStation shapes cable ties. We do have the PlayStation Portal, which, I mean, I already have one. I don't really intend to buy another one technically, but I do like the look of it. Just something about the the color setup they have there with the buttons, of course, they're symbols mimicking what they had with the original PlayStation. I still like that over the more monochrome look that we have with the typical DualSense controller. It stands out, I think, so much better, along with that the four-colored PlayStation logo there on the left side. We do have that DualSense Edge controller, but the thing that I am looking at right now, the one that I really want to get, and I'm going to try to here, is the controller. I think the DualSense limited edition controller is what Sony should have done this whole time, and I'm glad they ended up doing it. They may have gone overboard because they did it for everything, but for them, 30th anniversary, I'll give them a pass here. It should be a big deal to them, and it looks like they're going that way. So yes, I think this DualSense controller looks awesome, this 30th anniversary limited edition. Sort of the two-tone darker gray on lighter gray, and again, the symbols there, all the PlayStation colors, I think looks awesome. Now, they do mention these will go up for pre-order on the PlayStation Direct store on their website starting September 26th. So you definitely want to be on that website ahead of time. They'll probably start throwing people into a queue for that. So I'm sure it's going to be absolute chaos and mayhem on their website. Now, they do also mention the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition, the Anniversary Limited Edition bundle, will have pre-orders ready to go October 10th at participating retailers, so you might also want to call around just to see who will be carrying this thing, but otherwise, I would be looking towards that the direct PlayStation site. So I think this is really cool. This is what I was hoping to see because the original announcement was like a board game and some stress balls. This is how you celebrate the 30th anniversary of PlayStation. You go back to the roots, and technically, yes, they have now announced a new PlayStation 5 Pro before the PlayStation 5 Pro came out, but I mean, if you were somebody who was looking to pick up the system and then you would have bought it, and then this came out a month later, it's probably better to just see it here and pick up what you would really want. The 30th anniversary PlayStation 5 Pro, that's probably going to be 3 times its value overnight on eBay as soon as it releases. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Concord, because this got put up on the shelf not too long ago after just a couple of weeks on the market because no one was playing it, and now it appears Firewalk is trying to figure out what to do, and now we have an update even as to the person who was kind of leading the way within Firewalk for Concord, this over on Kotaku, saying Ryan Ellis told staff at Firewalk last week that he would be stepping down from his game director role and move into a support role instead. According to 3 sources familiar with the change, Ryan Ellis was really calling the shots the whole way there with Concord, and I mean, look, you hate to see people lose their job or their positions, but with Concord, somebody was going to be taking the fall for that one, and at least in this case, he's moving to a support role where he wouldn't be calling all the shots because, yeah, after Concord, it's pretty clear you probably need somebody else to sort of lead the way for what you hope to be the next project. It's also mentioned that even within Firewalk, no one knows what's next or what they would be doing, if anything. Some are concerned about layoffs. Others are thinking maybe they'll move into a support role for another PlayStation studio that's working right now on a game that's closer to release, but they are like 150 people at that studio, and apparently it's one of the more expensive ones inside of PlayStation's portfolio right now, so you feel like you would want them to work on something themselves that they can release, you know, to go along with a schedule you have set up for first-party releases, but it's a tough situation. I don't really think there's any path forward for Concord to return. It'd probably have to be completely renamed, rebranded, the whole thing. And at that point, you might as well just make a brand new game and then probably spend another 6 years doing it. Is that worth it? It's hard to say right now unless they have a really good pitch lined up, but we'll wait to hear more information because unfortunately the most likely thing here is that PlayStation probably disbands Firewalk and folds in some of the top talent into other studios. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, are you buying any of the PlayStation 30th anniversary hardware? The DualSense controller leading the way right there. Oh, okay, 7% say they're getting the PS5 or the PS5 Pro. Again, if you're already getting the PS5 Pro, maybe you're gonna look at that bundle and say, you know, I'm gonna take a shot at this whole thing. I'm gonna get the DualSense Edge, everything. And then 69%, good job, say, no, I'm not interested. Again, I'm going for the DualSense controller. I think that's I think that's the right move there. I already have a lot of the other stuff, the DualSense Edge, the PlayStation Portal. Technically, I have a couple of DualSense controllers, but this would probably for me be more of a collector's item anyway that I'll check out. We'll probably unbox and stuff because the boxes look cool. If you didn't see those, here, check this out. These are the retail boxes for these different systems and that DualSense controller. Definitely, again, harkening back to the original PlayStation packaging. So really, really fun stuff there. A lot of attention to detail. I'm gonna do my best to get one. We'll see how it goes. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from One Random Victory saying, I bet it's a God of War 2018 remaster. That referring to the other remaster apparently that Sony is going to have here. And well, now we're starting to hear it might be Days Gone, which, yeah, that actually fits. That does. It would probably be less exciting even than Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, Days Gone, it wasn't one that really I think I look back on fondly, but I'm sure there are some Days Gone fans out there. I just never hear about them. I think there are people who are more fans of Ben's studio and what they did even prior to Days Gone and are curious to see what they would do after Days Gone. But I guess there are people who are like, oh, I would have at least been interested to see what a sequel would have looked like. But I just don't really hear many people go, oh, remember when Days Gone came out? But hey, maybe you'll be able to do that when they do a remaster of it for some reason. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll have it linked up here in a card. Or maybe you did want to take a trip back to the past with the original PlayStation. I'll actually leave a video here showcasing how Sony was able to make that PS1 system really small with that slimmer vision. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.